Hey y'all, it's Amarachi here with the Playing with Portals YouTube channel where we discuss all things spiritual, intellectual, and things of that nature. Now I got some funky eye gear on today, but don't laugh at me. I have been having some eye irritation, but I wanted to take my morning walk, and you know, if I do say so myself, I still look fly, okay? But don't let the gear let you think that this message for today is any less profound. So let's get into it. There are a lot of things that we say in our lives as everyday phrases. There are these common everyday phrases that actually have very loaded spiritual meanings. So today we're going to talk about the phrase cleanliness is next to godliness, okay? My dad used to always say this to me as a kid. Whenever we go to church, he would say cleanliness is next to godliness. And I'd be like, okay, I get it, Dad. You want us to look good when we go to church. But as I got older, I started understanding that phrase and understanding what it meant on a spiritual level. So let's break it down. There has been research that being in a cluttered space literally raises your cortisol levels. Cortisol is the stress hormone, right? So literally being in cluttered spaces raises your stress, okay? Raises your stress. People often say that, hey, when I'm in a cluttered space, I feel like I can't think, right? So you can't even think straight, right? Then think about all the dust and the dirt that accumulates when you have a cluttered space. That's not good for the respiratory system. That's not good for breathing. That's not good for your overall health. So being in a cluttered space, in an unclean space, literally puts you in an unclean state. And we know that if you're in an unclean state physically, it oftentimes pours over to being in an unclean state spiritually and vice versa, okay? On a spiritual level, unclean spaces attract unclean spirits. Unclean spirits are going to keep you in an unclean state, right? So you want to make sure that your space is as clean as it can possibly be, because you want to make sure you are inviting in the godly spirits, the godly energy, right? When you think of heaven, you don't think of dirt, dust, and crap all over the space. You think of clean, pristine, you know. You think of when you think of an angel, you don't think of dirt, you know. You don't think of, angels reside in cluttered spaces. You don't think that. Angels, roam in beautiful territory. You know what I'm saying? And angels are all around us. But once again, you as an individual have a lot of power in enhancing the angelic energy around you and within you, right? So keeping a clean space helps you stay spiritually pure, right? On top of that, when you interact with people and interact throughout your day, you pick up all kinds of energy and dirt and germs. A lot of times what we call germs are just spiritual energy, right, from other people in other spaces. That's what a lot of it is, right? You're taking on somebody else's, germs, their aura, whatever you want to call it. That comes into your home. That comes into your space when you go home. So when you don't clean your space, you have a lot of people's stuff, literally a lot of people's stuff in your home now, right? So that's why it's so important for you to clean, to make sure that it's your own energy that's in that space. The other night, I was sleeping, and I felt so congested as I was sleeping, and I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning, and I was like, I can't sleep, right? And something occurred to me. I said, you know what? I didn't change my sheets this week. I haven't changed my sheets in the frequency that I usually do. So you know what I did? Right before I went to bed, I said, you know what? Let me just do this. I took off the sheets, the old sheets. I put clean sheets, and just the entire atmosphere of my room changed. It felt calmer. It felt more peaceful. And I added some eucalyptus to a towel and laid it on my forehead, and I went right to sleep. And that's when I said, there's more to this cleanliness is next to godliness than we realize, okay? And it really will behoove all of us to spend more time cleaning. Spend more time cleaning. A deep clean can do a lot of things for the spirit, okay? So hopefully that gives y'all some insight on that. And this is a common everyday phrase with loaded spiritual meaning. All right, I'll see y'all. Bye.